The first matter of which
I think Toby and Deb, somebody.
We have a minion. We're past that.
We're good.
We're good.
That's where Fashion Island is.
I'm sorry?
That's where Fashion Island is. And Gerson's.
Marsha, your father's first name was Thomas?
Yes, I'd like to say thank you.
What's that?
Yes.
You'd like to say it out loud? Okay, very good.
Thank you. I had to get to your level because mine may be different.
That's what makes the world go around, have different melody.
That's right. Shabbat Shalom in here, out there, all around Ha'olam. We are delighted to be able to gather together on Shabbat and celebrate this one day in 7 that God has blessed us with. We're going to get started to put ourselves in a little bit of the Shabbat mode with a Nigun, and we'll follow that with a little community update with Tov Uvracha.
Yai da 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 da.
Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da da da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da da da. Yai da 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 da. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la la la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la la la. Yai la 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 la. So, it's a little time for a little Tov Uvracha, a little good and blessing to find out how we've all done in the past week and to get up to date with one another. So, who has a good and blessing to share? Yes, my dear.
Yeah, I got a text from Hannah this morning that she's officially finished her first year of school.
Mazel Tov. That's wonderful. So remind me where she's at school?
Well, American University in Washington.
Very nice. What a great location. What a great place to have a college experience. Fantastic. Who else? Neely?
My granddaughter just passed all her tests for her PhD.
Mazel Tov. Now it sounds like, does that mean she's done she's had to present and defend her dissertation? Well, then that's fantastic. And what did she get her degree in?
Medical.
Oh, outstanding. All right.
Medical research.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Such a machaya. That's great.
And specializing in geriatrics.
A good choice.
Yeah.
And there's a future in geriatrics. So, yes, Deb.
I am proud to announce that my grandson has been accepted in the summer program at Cornell.
Whoa.
6 weeks as a college student at 16.
Oh, very nice. Cornell, my father's alma mater. I do recall him saying that there is absolutely nothing else to do in Ithaca except to go to Cornell. So that'll keep him on the straight and narrow. That's good.
And Grandma will be keeping him in tow because I will be up there in a separate.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Helicopter grandparent. Nice. Who else has a good and blessing to report? Anybody? All right. Well, so for me, I'm 5 weeks out from the beginning of my sabbatical. And this week, I'd already worked out that I had a research project I was going to write on, and it was going to be on spec, as it were. I was going to write the article and then see if I could get it published. But then this week, I got a second project, the Encyclopedia of the Bible and its Interpretation has contacted me and said that they need another article on numbers and numerology in the rabbinic and medieval tradition. So I've got two projects, and that's always good. Keeps me out of trouble. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time for us to kindle the lights of Shabbat, and I'm going to invite up Geneva to light our candles. We're going to be on page 26 in our prayer book.
A different light shines this day, a light pure and bright. Its glow is like that of an angel's. Its brightness fills my heart completely. I shall rejoice and be glad. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'tzivot v'tzivanu b'mitzvot shel Shabbat. Praised are you, Holy One of blessing, whose presence fills the world, who hallows us with mitzvot and inspires us to kindle Shabbat lights.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'tzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Since the time we published our prayer book, we evolved slightly different ways of doing things. So I'm going to send you back to page 24, and we're going to begin at the bottom of the page. We sit here newly gathered in the faith before the face of our God, joining together to worship the eternal and to sanctify our own existence. How shall we begin to search, to reach for the sacred part of ourselves where rests the essence of all that is good? By stopping our concerns for those things which distract us all week long, and by welcoming the Sabbath bride, by opening ourselves to hear the message, oh so silent, carried to us by the small, still voice of God. Anim Zimirot? Page 25, everyone. Anim Zimirot. Anim Zimirot v'shiri ero ki elecha nayikaro
נפשי חדה קצה ידיך לדעת תורה סודך. Amen. Amen.
In English. Sweet hymns and songs will I recite. I sing of you by day and night, of you who are my soul's delight, of you who are my soul's delight. Amen.
Amen.
I sing pleasing melodies and weave songs, for my soul thirsts for you. My soul desires to rest in the shadow of your hand, to know all your mysterious secrets. Whenever I speak of your glory, my heart yearns for your love. Let my meditation be sweet to you, for my soul thirsts for you. Page 27, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom
Alechem Malachei Hasharet Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech, malachei hamelachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Archuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech, malachei hamelachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Zetchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech, malachei hamelachim, hakadosh baruch hu. So peace be upon you, you ministering angels, messengers of the Most High, the Majesty of majesties, the Holy One of blessing. Come in peace, bless us with peace, and go in peace. We now continue with a modern meditation from Psalm 139 together. O God, you have searched me and know me well. You understand all my thoughts, every word upon my tongue. Your presence surrounds me. You touch me with your hand. Your presence exceeds my own exception. It is a wonder beyond imagining. Harold, could you let person in? Thank you. Hatzikadosh.
Yekadal v'yekadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yamadi brachutei v'yamlet mahutei.
B'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, u'mizman kari. Himaru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'alam Le'almaya Yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yita'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yitalor v'yitalei v'yitalal Shmei v'shah
Rechu
Leila min kol birchata v'shirata.
Tush b'chata v'nechemata Dami ran belma.
Yemaru
May the Holy One be glorified, exalted, and honored, though God is beyond all praises, songs, and adorations that we could utter. And let us all say, Amen. Please rise for the Baruch Hu if you're able. Please join me responsibly in Psalm 104. Bless the eternal, O my soul, eternal my God, you are very great. You are clothed in glory and majesty, and wrapped in light like a robe. You spread out the heavens like a tent cloth. God sets the rafters of the high places in the water. God makes the winds to be messengers, fiery flames to serve you. You made the deep cover the earth like a garment, the waves to stand above the mountains. You make springs gush forth in torrents, and they make their way between the hills. You water the mountains from your high places, and the earth is sated from the fruit of your work. The trees of the eternal drink their fill, the cedars of Lebanon, your own planting, where birds make their nest, while the stork has her home in the junipers. God made the moon to mark the seasons. The sun knows it's time to set. How manifold are your works, O eternal. In a wisdom you have made them all. May the glory of the eternal endure forever, and may you rejoice in all your works.
Bless the eternal, O my soul. Hallelujah.
And as I think of one God, I rejoice in the wonders of this world, and I pray for a day when all people shall be as one.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated and join us in the V'ahavta.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol yodecha v'chayu ha'barim ha'eved asher anochi mitzvatecha hayom al-vavecha v'shinatan levanecha v'dibarta v'shivtecha v'beitecha v'v'lechtecha b'derech v'shachtecha v'kumecha v'shartam v'ol ha'vadecha v'chayu v'totacho v'minecha v'p'tachtam ha'metzutzot beitecha v'b'sharecha L'man titzaru v'asitem v'mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'olechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hoseiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai
Elohechem. And together let us read the translation in English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your being. And these words which I command you this day shall be upon your heart. Teach them diligently to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you dedicate yourselves to your God. I, Adonai, am your God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, am your God. When a Jew speaks a word of prayer in love and in awe, the power of that word gives birth to God's glory. And the angels call out to God, who is like unto you? How great is even a single word of such a prayer? It causes all the angels to sing. All the worlds join with the one who serves the eternal. This is the meaning of the Micha Mocha, that one who sings a song below can arouse so many songs on high. Yai dai yada dai ba bim bam. Yai dai 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 yada dai ba bim bam. Yai dai yada dai ba bim bam. Yai dai yada dai ba bim bam. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai. Mi kamocha nerdar bakodesh norati lo osefele norati lo osefele yai lai 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 yala lai ba bim bam. Yai lai 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 yala lai ba bim bam. Yai lai yala lai ba bim bam. Yai lai yala lai ba bim bam. Hashkivenu, we begin with the Hebrew. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Grant that we lie down in peace, Adonai our God, and raise us up tomorrow, O sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Baruch atah Adonai hafores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. I might imagine God as a teacher or a friend, but those images like king, master, father, or mother are too small for me now. God is the force of motion and light in the universe. God is the strength of life on our planet. God is the power moving us to do good. God is the source of love that springs up within us. God is far beyond what we can comprehend. Once again, if able, please rise for tefillah.
Adonai sepetachita ufiyadita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagdol Hagibor Ha'anora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot B'imo, U'mevi Kula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo Le'ahava, Melech Ozer Mashiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Ezra Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol Atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Mekakel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayei Hakol V'Rakamim Rabim, Somek Noflim V'Rofei Kodim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayei Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamo Aval Yivuro, Umidom Elah,
Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shemcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yechaluch hatzela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Okay. Please be seated. And to honor Shabbat, we're going to go to the bottom of page 36. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Those who keep the Shabbat, call it a delight, shall rejoice in God's sovereignty and kingdom forever.
Yismechu v'malchutecha,
Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malchutecha,
Shomrei,
shomrei, shomrei, Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat.
Mekadeshei,
Mekadeshei Shavi Shabbat.
Shabbat,
Kulam
Yisbe'u,
V'yitangu metuvecha Shabbat.
Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malchutecha,
Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei,
Shabbat v'korei,
oneg
Shabbat. Uhashvi
Hashvi,
Ratzitabo,
Ratzitabo,
Ratzitabo v'kidashto Shabbat.
Shabbat,
Chemda
Yami,
Yami, Oto Karata Shabbat.
Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Zecher L'maaseh
Bereshit Shabbat.
Shabbat,
Zecher
L'maaseh
Bereshit Shabbat.
Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. A prayer for acceptance. We reach for you, O God, from our quiet places. May we stand still for a brief moment, listen to the rain. Stand still for a brief moment and watch the play of sunlight and shadow on the leaves. For a brief moment, listen to the world. We need a quiet space to test the balance of our days, the weight of our own needs against the heaviness of the world's demands. The balance is precarious. Steady us with faith. Quiet places and stillness where we will hear our own best impulses speak. Quiet places and stillness where we'll reach out to each other. We will find strength in silence, and with that strength, we will turn again to your service. Thanksgiving. There are times, O God, when I do feel alone, and yet I know in my heart that I am never alone. You're always there waiting for me to speak to you of my desires, fears, hopes, and dreams. Yet how seldom do I reach out to you to voice my gratitude for all that is beautiful in my life, for all the gifts of my life. Love, family, and friendship have come from you, but the greatest gift of all is your presence, which time and again has given me strength, hope, and courage. So in the midst of doubt and confusion, I need to know that you are beside me, not only in the prayer book, but in the depth of my being, my friend, my strength, my God. We're going to close out this part of our service with Shalom Rav, and there's a silent meditation you can read or you can meditate to yourself, and we'll conclude with Oseh Shalom.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu legadol lecha shalom. Ki atahu legadol lecha shalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol ed v'chol shah v'shlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Oh, say shalom. Uya say shalom aleinu. Ve'akol Yisrael. Ve'imru amen. Oh, say shalom bin Roma. Uya say shalom aleinu. Ve'akol Yisrael. Ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael. Israel. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom,
Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Yal Kol Yisrael.
V'imru, Amen.
When I was a rabbinical student, I had the opportunity to attend as a guest of a Lutheran seminary, which was very interesting. And I got to hear a professor lecture on the role and function of the sermon. And apparently for Lutherans, the function of a sermon is that there is a problem, and the problem is going to be presented, and Jesus is the answer. And that's every sermon. That's every sermon. So I thought about that for a while. And of course, the Jewish response is, there's a problem. I'm going to explain the problem to you. And then Torah has at least two answers. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. This week, we enter a summer of complexity in the Jewish world. What parsha of the Torah portion are we to be studying this week? If you are an Israeli or a Reformed Jew, we are studying Kiddushin. But if you are a conservative Jew or an Orthodox Jew, you are studying Achrei Mot. However, if you're an Orthodox Jew who lives in the state of Israel, you're studying Achrei Mot along with all the Reformed Jews. So it gets complicated. This disconnect triggered is by whether you ended your Pesach on Friday night or Saturday night. And it will continue through the summer until Rosh Hashanah comes and all Jews worldwide will come back into sync, sort of, because when are we ever truly in sync? So for us, this week's Torah portion is Kiddushin. Opens with God speaking to Moses and commanding that he address the entire Israelite community. Kiddushin tihiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. You shall be holy, for I, Adonai your God, am holy. We, who are created in the image of God, are now commanded to demonstrate this likeness by actively pursuing holiness. Set at the very center of the Torah, this appears to be an essential part of our covenantal relationship with God, since the portion ends with a similar closing exhortation. You shall be holy to me, for I, God, am holy, and have set you apart from other people to be mine. The very word Kodesh in Hebrew means to be set apart or dedicated. Rabbi Alyssa Goldstein, in the Modern Torah, a Woman's Commentary, explains, throughout the Torah, we are given rules and statutes that tell us what we are to do, but here we are told what to be. Sort of. We still have to do something. But first, to do this, how do we define holiness, and what does it mean to be holy? It's such an elusive term. Many interpreters have struggled to define the nature of holiness, and indeed, the instruction to be holy. Is it even a mitzvah, or is it an exhortation? Maimonides thinks it's not a mitzvah. Nachmanides thinks it is. It is a special subset of mitzvot somehow. Rashi defines it specifically because our Torah portion mentions sexual misbehavior. He says holiness is entirely attached to sexual behavior as codified in chapters 18 and 20 of the Holiness Code. But there are a lot of other things brought up in our portion. So most everyone else thinks it is a call for something that goes beyond a certain set of specific behaviors. All agree that there are guidelines that clarify who, when, and where holiness comes into play. First, the verse addresses the entire community of Israel. Every person in the community has the ability to attain the exalted status of holiness. We can, may, and will develop the divine within us. Second, the time and place to seek holiness apparently is actually everywhere at all times. The primary examples in this chapter, but also in the chapters before and after the exhortation, include choosing what we eat, keeping Shabbat, not falsifying weights and measures, showing respect for elders and parents, leaving gleanings for the poor to collect, avoiding idolatry, sexual ethics, how we treat strangers, and many, many more diverse instructions. In other words, seemingly everything we do and everyone we encounter in our daily lives has at least the potential to bring us closer to the elusive thing we call holiness that we are commanded to seek. Now, Nachmanides, who thinks to be holy is actually its own mitzvah, recognizes that holiness goes beyond what is merely permitted and prohibited. And he makes an extraordinary claim in his commentary on this section, where he notes that Efshar lihiyot naval b'reshut haTorah. What an incredible thing to say. What he says is, it's possible to be a jerk under the authority of Torah, right? The Torah itself doesn't necessarily make you a really decent person. This is, of course, something we have to avoid at all costs. And we hopefully, by our particular actions and turning them into something beyond the mere letter of the law, help relieve that. Perhaps it is something else. Perhaps it is what we have in Achrei Mot, where it says that the two sons of Aaron were killed because they drew too close to Adonai. What a bizarre thing to say. Two very bizarre things popping up in this section. So what does it mean to draw too close to God? Well, maybe that's what we're seeing in the case before the Supreme Court this summer, where a high school coach claims it is his personal religious right to end school-sponsored football games with himself going out into the middle of the stadium, kneeling down at the 50-yard line, calling his team to pray with him, and ostentatiously offering a prayer to Jesus before the assembled crowd. Now, as a church and state issue, I think we all have a sense of where there's a problem here. But even aside from that, it seems to be kind of boorish, right? He's using the authority of the gospel to act out in a kind of unpleasant way. And interestingly enough, I know enough Christian scripture to know that this behavior is even problematic from the perspective of Jesus, because Jesus instructs his followers in the book of Mark, and when you pray, don't be like hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the assemblies and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward already. Pray alone in your room. So, apparently for Christians, it's possible to be a bore under the authority of the Gospels. It's true for us too. Fact is, no form of the Bible provides us with absolute boundaries or perfect guidelines, but they do help us to try and translate holiness out of our experience. So to build on what Nachmanides is saying, we must access something else, our intuition, our sense of our own conscience, of what is appropriate and not in applying all of these commandments. And maybe that puts us on the path to holiness. We have to put it in the terms of the Marvel universe, a spidey sense that tells us, oh no, it may seem holy, but it's not really. It's kind of tacky, all right? We must intuit how to perform mitzvot in such a way that it will be pleasing in the eyes of God. In the end, we need to nurture within ourselves the use of the mitzvot and the distinctions and value judgments that are in our own heads in observing those mitzvot as it makes us confront what is an appropriate act at what place. Value judgments like when and how something as straightforward as observing the sacred days of the Torah. Do we do 7 days? Do we do 8? And all of our Jewish experiences give us extra tools to apply the mitzvot. It is striking that this year we are examining Kiddushin at a very particular moment in our calendar. It comes right between 2 modern Jewish commemorative days, Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Memorial Day, and Yom HaZikaron, the day for remembering those who have died for the state of Israel. We sense that both these losses are some kind of sacrifice, something potentially sacred, if I may say, that come with some kind of lesson, but the Torah is not prepared to tell us what it is. But yet, somehow it feels like there's almost a commandment there. Yom HaZikaron, Jewish Memorial Day, reminds us of the human cost that has gone into establishing and having a Jewish state. But Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Day, comes also to remind us of the human cost of not having a Jewish state. What does the loss of so many made in the divine image command us to do? Where does the holiness reside in that? Where should we accordingly direct our actions today in order that we might draw ourselves closer to the holy? I don't have an answer for these modern conundrums, but I do believe that Torah sets us in a direction that will help us find the answers to those questions. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So our officer tonight is Michelle, is that right? Come on up, Michelle. Michelle is our secretary, the congregational secretary.
Yes, I am.
You
Shabbat
are.
Shalom, everyone. Everyone at CKA is invited to join Sisterhood as they host May 6th Shabbat dinner and service, which is next week. The Shabbat dinner this month is a fundraiser for Sisterhood. They will be serving a pasta dinner. Excuse me, if you'd like to attend, please RSVP through the Shabbat dinner reservation page on our website. Next Saturday, a week from tomorrow, we are going to be having an evening with Weena Randall.
Not tomorrow,
A week from tomorrow.
a week from tomorrow. Sorry,
Yes.
I misunderstood.
That's okay. And I'll be there. So you guys got to come because, hey. It's a week from tomorrow, Saturday, May 7th at 7 p.m. She is a former congregant and an author, and she is coming to speak in conjunction with the release of her latest book called The Last Rose of Shanghai. And she is going to be discussing her book, and it's a fabulous book. You can get it on Amazon. It's really, really good. You will have the opportunity to discuss the novel as well as the unique Jewish and Chinese perspectives. Tickets are free for congregants. Non-congregants is $5 a person. And there will be books available there to purchase and for signing. Stop the Bleed. Congregation Kol Ami is partnering with the Flower Mound Fire Department to conduct a local Stop the Bleed training on Monday, May 9th at 7 o'clock. While we all hope to never have to use these skills in an emergency, this training provides critical knowledge needed in controlling serious bleeding. Please use the link on the website to sign up. We are once again doing the medicine bottle recycling program. It's sponsored by our very own Tikkun alum chair. And we're sponsoring a medicine bottle recycle program. You can place the bottle in the milk crate in front of the office to be picked up. Check out the post on the website or the blast for all the instructions on how to prepare the bottles. This supports the reuse in developing countries, and all donations will be appreciated greatly. And CKA is honoring its veterans on Sunday, May 15th at 7:00 p.m. on the eve of Armed Forces Day. We will be holding a ceremony dedicating our new veterans plaque to honor all of our members who have served in the armed forces. We hope to establish this as a tradition of celebrating all of our service people, past, present, and future. We hope the families of Kol Ami will join us to recognize our past and present soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and guardsmen who have sacrificed their time and risked their lives in service to their nation. And finally, changes to the streaming services. Over the past several weeks, we have been so excited to be seeing an increasing number of in-person attendees at services. Spring is arriving, and with it, people are having an opportunity to return to many of their pre-COVID lives and routines. That also means that the demand for streaming and online meetings has been diminished as well. In order to support the in-person model, the board has made the decision to reduce the live stream services to the first and third Shabbat evening of each month, starting in May. This will help us manage the process more easily, but still provide streaming services for those that are unable to attend otherwise. If you have any questions, please reach out to Bob in the office. And as always, you can find specific details for any of these announcements and anything else you might want to know on the congregation website.
Yes.
That's right. It's a handy dandy place on the internet. So may the ones who bless our ancestors also bless Harry Anthony, Joyce Bloom, Natalie Bovino, Sandy Cook, Mark Davis, Francine Feingold, Doug Friedman, Michelle Griffith, Jody Hoffman, Carol Jones, Molly Kalig, Deb Kaufman, Toby Kennedy, Lauren Koenig, Alex Koenig, Gianna LaMonica, Deb Ledden, Matt Levin, Phyllis Lorelei, Shirley Lunsford, Paul Redwood Jr., Sandy Garber Rubin, Adrienne Sandler, Myra Schussler, Dave Seaver, and Happy Waterman. Are there any other names that you would like to add to the Mayor Shabbat list?
Sue Berger, Don Coleman, Patty, Tom Holiday, Gary Jefferson, Pat Winston, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Jackie Bustos and Lynn McLeod.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Marion Zimmer.
Thank you. All right. The song is on the back of your program. And Misha Barrett.
Shebero avotenu bechor habracha amotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishebera imotenu bechor Amotenu, bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
And thank you for attending the door also. We appreciate all of the duties you do. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to turn to page 82 for the Aleinu. What's the likelihood, Sue, that I can get you to come up here and open the ark with me? Oh, sure. See? Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Page 82. Aleinu v'shabeach l'Adonai l'tetiv l'ayraser breshit shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo samachenu kahem v'goradeinu k'kohanon. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נותן שמיים ויוצר הארץ ומושך מקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינת זו וגודל מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אינו, עמק מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והחשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת עינו. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. The leaves fall is from afar, and they fall with slow and lingering descent. And in the night, the heavy earth too falls from out of the stars and into the solitude. Thus all must fall. This hand of mine must fall, and lo, the other. It is the law. But there is one who holds the falling infinitely softly in his hand, in her hands. And so it is we take time now to recall all of those names of those we've lost most recently, as well as those whose anniversaries of death occur this week. As is our custom now on Shiva, we acknowledge the death of all people this week who died prematurely because of war and violence. Is there another name to be shared with us? Please.
My children's grandfather and my father, Thomas Helmut Emmanuel Epstein.
Thank you. Is there anyone else observing Shiva? Is there anyone observing Shloshim, lost someone last month? All right, this week, we want to acknowledge the yard sites of these people connected to our community: Joseph Croman, Beverly Duell, Delon Duder, Beryl A. Harris, Louis Merkler, Stuart Niederman, Louis Portnoy, Leah Radow, Samuel I. Radow, Mary Ann Tavano, and Rabbi Dr. Isaac Yerushalmi. Is there anyone else here observing a yard site? For those who mourn, may the memory of their loved ones grow sweeter with the passing years. For the rest of us, we want to show our support and our caring by turning to page 85 and rising together with those who mourn to recite Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Bagalal Uizman Kari Vimru Amen. Yehe Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'elam Ulamei Amaya. Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitormam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei D'kudsha B'richu Le'elam Inkol Birchata V'shirata Tushbachata V'nechemata Damiran Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Osei Shalom B'mroma Uyasei Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. May the source of peace make peace for all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated, everyone. So, for our closing song, it's just nice to say something nice. So we're going to say Havenu Shalom Aleichem, welcome and goodbye. And we're just glad shalom's all over the place. So you'll find it on page 100 at the top of the page. It's an easy song. And we'll close out our service with that. And of course, there will be an oneg afterwards. Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom Aleichem, Havenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And come, let's share some wine and break some bread together. Thank you, my dear, as always.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. Very nice, thank you. Oh, yeah. Yep. I understand. Yes.
Wow, hello. You love people? Okay.
Oh, I understand.
Ah, babies or? It's so good to see you. It's been so long.
Yeah, I know what it just turned in before you somehow.
Yeah, I know how that is.
I was at the 2 weeks ago at the same. So that was my first time.